Welcome to Videorial W07006, Microsoft Word Basics, creating a template for a letter of application. Okay, in this Videorial I'm going to share with you something that my mum shared with me 25 years ago when I first started applying for jobs, fresh out of school. Now, letters of application are hugely important. If you don't get it right, you may not get the interview for the dream job that you've always wanted, okay? And one thing to note about letters of application is that they are traditional. You shouldn't really mess with them. You should design them with the person who's going to be receiving it in mind. Don't do it based on what you think is funky formatting or funky layout. You've always got to do it based on the expectation of the person who's going to be receiving the letter. If they receive a letter that's a bit wild and wacky, chances are it might end up in the bin, depending on the job. Anyway, I'm going to show you a standard layout which will work in most cases, okay? Very traditional. I'm going to start by explaining about the page layout. Now, ordinarily, to save space on a page with a normal document, you use margins that are slightly narrower, okay? With a letter of application, unless there are tight restrictions on how long your letter can be, I would stick with normal page layout margins, okay? 25.4 millimeters. Normal standard layout. No need to mess with it. Page size would be A4. Our American friends, that would be a slightly different format based on what your printer's set up for. Anyway, now what I would recommend is that you don't format as you go along. Okay, I'm just going to write everything and put everything in place, then I'm going to format. Okay, so I'm going to start by putting in the first part of the letter, the top right hand corner, goes the name and address of the person sending the letter. That would be you. My name obviously isn't John Smith. This is a fictional name. So the name. Hit return. First line of the address, usually the house number and street. Then we would have on the next line usually like the village or area. In this case it's Heathfield. These are completely made up, or this name and address is completely made up. Then the postal town, Newton Abbott. Then the county. Then the postcode, TQ126RY. Now, one more thing in the top right hand corner, and that's the date. Date, the word date, colon, and then I'm going to put 23rd of January 2012. Now you'll notice that when you put a number and after it you put RD or TH or ST, Word will automatically apply superscript formatting and then immediately afterwards remove that formatting so that subsequent text isn't superscript. Okay? Anyway, the reason why I've chosen that format is because I don't want there to be any confusion about dates. If I put 12/01/2012, what that means is the 12th of January 2012. The American way of doing it would put 01/12. So depending on who's reading the letter, they may interpret the date in either of two ways. Okay, so I always, belt and braces, I always put something that cannot be confused. Okay, so date. Another line. Right, now I'm going to put below that on the left-hand side the name of the recipient, the person you're sending it to. In this case, it's Mr. James Fitzpatrick. Then I'm going to put his job title. He's the HR manager for Cambridge Publications, the name of the company. They have premises at 59 School Lane, Cherry Hinton. That's a real place in Cambridge. Cherry Hinton. Then the postal town or city, Cambridge. Then the postcode CB15AU. 2 carriage returns. Just scroll down. Then I'm going to put Dear Mr. Fitz. Whoops. Very formal. Dear Mr. Fitzpatrick. If you knew the person, you might put Dear James. or sorry, in this case, Dear John. But generally speaking, you would be very formal. You'd say, Dear Mr. Fitzpatrick. Right, I'm just going to put a few carriage returns in, hit enter a few times. Yours, sincerely. Some more carriage returns. Mr. John Smith. This area of the screen, or of the letter, is going to be where your signature is going to go. If you're sending the letter via post, you can print it out and sign it with a pen. If not, you'd have to scan your signature in and attach it to an email. But an alternative to that is that you can create a signature using a website. Now, this website here, www.mylivesignature.com, very useful. You just follow the prompts. Oh, here we go. Create using signature creation wizard. You follow the prompts and it basically gives you a picture that you can download. You put the text in there and so on. Okay, follow the prompts. By the time you get to the end, you'll get a picture. Okay, that picture you can then import in. So I'm going to go insert picture. I've positioned that picture. There we go, in. Now, I'm just going to shrink that down a little bit. There we go. There's my signature. Plenty of room. Now, the body text of the letter, I'm going to put in here. Now, I haven't written the letter yet, and I'm not going to pretend to be able to tell you how to write your letter for the dream job that you're going for. It's an art form, writing a good letter. It's taken me 20 years to get to a point where I'm happy writing letters of application. They should be tailored to the job. Anyway, for the purposes of this template, I'm going to use www.lipsum.com. I'm going to use this to create some dummy text. Okay, so part of the facility on this website is that you can create dummy text that you can copy and paste across. I'm going to choose 3 paragraphs. Lorem ipsum's used a lot in publishing. It replicates text in a very good way. Line length, word lengths, paragraph sizes are all indicative of typical Western writing. So I'm going to go paste special, unformatted text, because I don't want any of the formatting that was on the website. It's very kindly put some extra carriage returns in, which I don't particularly want. So I'll just select and remove them. Now, it's time to format. Now, I don't particularly like this space under here. This is the default paragraph spacing that is applied by Word when you open up a new document. It applies 10-point space beneath each paragraph or carriage return or new line. So I'm going to select all by going Control A, or you could just click and drag, whatever. Control A on the keyboard, Control A, selects all the text. Now I'm going to go in here, and I'm going to click on line spacing. I'm going to remove the line spacing. Okay. I'm also going to change the font to something more traditional. Times New Roman supposedly is easier to read. So always a good. It looks old-fashioned, but it's always good to go with tradition. You can't really go wrong with Times New Roman. Somebody might think that you're a bit old-fashioned, but hey. So New Times Roman. Size is a factor. I would usually stick with 11 point. 12 point I think is slightly too big and it looks a little childlike. Anyway, we've changed the font. We've changed, we've removed some of the line spacing or paragraph spacing. Formatting. Now, top right-hand corner is where your address goes and your name and the date. Okay, so we select that information. We choose right aligned from the paragraph section of the home menu. Done. Next thing, I want to make the word, let me just zoom in, date, bold. Select, choose bold. Now, I also want to add some extra spacing just above the date to separate it from the address. And I'm going to go back into here, add some line spacing. I'm going to go with 8 point. Okay, 8 point isn't one of the options if you just click through that it will give you. It tends to go up in 6s. Okay, so you have to swipe and place 8. I don't know why. I always use 8. Okay, now zoom out, view, zoom 100%. That takes you back to a good view of the screen. Okay, now I want to add a little bit of extra space just below the Dear Mr. Fitzpatrick. Okay, same process. Line spacing options. I'm going to choose 6 point after. Okay. In fact, I'm going to select 6 point after for all of this text here. So that's including the Dear right the way down here. All the text is going to be 6 point afterwards. Okay. Okay. Now that looks quite nice. So zooming out, I'm going to hit the control button and move the mouse wheel backwards incrementally. Okay, there we go. There's our finished letter. Very straightforward. The only thing I would say at this point is sometimes letters, when you zoom out, they look a bit bottom heavy. So one of the tricks that you can use is to actually put the postcode on the same line as the town. Now, it doesn't always work. Let me just remove. But what it does is it just shifts it up a little bit. Okay, there are other techniques. You can reduce the space at the top, but that looks pretty nice now. The only other thing that you might want to do is, quite often with job applications, is that they'll put a reference in the job advert. Okay, reference dot, let me just zoom in, colon, A, B, D, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 12. Okay, now just made that up, so I'll just again make this bold. Now I want to add some spacing before and after this particular, just to separate it from the text around it. I might actually add a little bit more space afterwards and make that 12. There we go. No, not sure about that. I'm going to remove that. Oh no, I'll put it back again. Right, there we go. That is our finished letter. Just one more thing to mention, and that is to do with the use of sincerely and faithfully. If you know the name of the person to which you're sending the letter, then you can use sincerely. It's slightly more personal. However, if you do not know the name and you use Dear Sir stroke Madam, if you're not sure who it is that you're applying to, you should always use faithfully. The way I remember it is that if you've got S, you shouldn't end in an S. Okay? That's how my mum taught me years ago. It's done me well for 25 plus years. That's it, the finished letter. Okay, let me just undo. There we go, finished. Now you can download this this particular letter from the website. It's in the bottom right hand corner next to the video on the right. I hope you find it as useful as I did 25 years ago. I swear to God, I'm still using the same basic layout template document that I was 25 years ago, or at least when I first created a word processed version of the letter. Something that you'll use time and time again. I hope you found it useful. Thank you for watching.